Hey everyone, and welcome to Top Think. Today we'll learn about why men with beards are more attractive. Now, let's begin. For years, men have been staring into the mirror, razors in their hands, wondering whether or not men with facial hair are really more attractive to women. If so, is there a particular type of facial hair that women find especially desirable? Should you be trimming your hair or keeping it long? Is it better to have a beard that's patchy and uneven or no beard at all? Oftentimes, facial hair preferences fluctuate with the rise and fall of different cultural trends. Certain styles, like mustaches in the 1970s and goatees in the 1990s, were represented by dozens of celebrities and considered irresistible by countless people. In more recent years, full-faced beards and short stubble have become popular styles for men of all ages, but no matter how often these styles shift, one thing remains the same. Men with facial hair tend to be more attractive than those without. Just think about some well-known masculine figures throughout history. Look at the faces of kings, emperors, cultural icons, rock stars, athletes, and even fictional deities like the ancient Greek god Zeus. Many of them have fully grown beards, demonstrating power, success, confidence, and virility. The sheer volume of attractive bearded men in our pantheon of cultural heroes is evidence of a long-standing relationship between facial hair and attractive masculinity. The years may come and go, but men with facial hair never go out of style. But is the popularity of facial hair just a coincidence? Maybe men with beards aren't especially attractive. Perhaps male celebrities just stop shaving when their popularity reaches a certain critical mass. So, how do we know beards themselves are more attractive than clean-shaven faces? To answer this question, let's look at a 2020 study published by the Royal Society. In this study, a team of researchers explored how women's preferences for male facial hair affected their mating choices. Is the average woman more likely to pursue a man with facial hair or a man without? Does facial hair make the average man more attractive? Finally, what qualities do women typically associate with bearded men? With this study, researchers not only examined how women truly feel about male facial hair, but they also unmasked a discrete correlation between facial hair and two very attractive characteristics. The participants in this study came from a group of over 900 women between the ages of 18 and 70. All participants were asked to rate a series of 30 photographs displaying men with different styles of facial hair. Some had full beards, some had short stubble, while others were clean-shaven. Each participant rated these male faces on scales of attraction for both short and long-term relationships. So, what did they find? After collecting data from over 900 participants, researchers concluded that men with more facial hair received higher scores for both short and long-term relationships. The gap was especially wide for long-term relationships, where men with beards were considered significantly more attractive and reliable than men without facial hair of any kind. What's most interesting, however, isn't the overwhelming preference for facial hair displayed by most female participants, but the author's explanations for why men with beards are so desirable. This powerful explanation revolves around a little-known evolutionary preference which dates all the way back to the beginnings of humanity. Let's rewind time for just a moment. Before the rise of civilization and the booming of technology, humans lived off the land and fended for themselves against the forces of nature. Back then, humans still formed relationships like we do today. Men chose women they found attractive, and women chose men that they found attractive. So, what qualities do you think made men most attractive in the earliest stages of human history? Naturally, women were drawn to men who were physically and socially dominant. Men who were not only strong warriors, but intelligent hunters and respected leaders. In other words, the most dominant men were almost always considered the most attractive. This is what we call the caveman rule. Underneath all the complex dynamics in today's relationships, there exists a foundational desire for strong, admirable, and successful men. But what does the caveman rule have to do with male facial hair? The amount of facial hair that you have and the rate at which it grows is influenced by the presence of a hormone called testosterone. Testosterone is essential to male development and is largely responsible for masculine physical qualities like muscle mass, vocal depth, and, you guessed it, facial and body hair. While testosterone isn't the only factor that affects beard growth, genetics, for example, can play an important role. Studies have shown that high levels of testosterone can predict greater volumes of body and facial hair. Generally, men who have lower levels of testosterone grow less facial hair, have higher voices, and develop less muscle mass. On the other hand, men with greater levels of testosterone usually have deeper voices, more muscle mass, and of course, more facial hair. It's this strong correlation that best explains our society's overwhelming preferences for bearded men. Just think about it. According to the caveman rule, women are generally attracted to strong, capable, and successful men. Before the dawn of civilization, the most successful men were usually the biggest, toughest, and strongest, suggesting they had higher levels of testosterone than the average male. More testosterone means a deeper voice and more facial hair. So, over time, facial hair became an unconscious symbol of strength, virility, and dominance among human males. It's unlikely that people think about any of these things in the world today, but the caveman rule still affects your preferences at an unconscious level. According to our 2020 study, female participants tended to perceive men with beards as more dominant and physically stronger than their counterparts. Men with beards were also perceived to be older and more socially assertive than men who were clean-shaven. Now, you might be wondering how anyone could gather these qualities from a single photograph, but assumptions like these are baked into our psychology. Just put yourself in their shoes. Imagine you're looking at two men, one with a beard and one without. Now, without thinking, you may automatically attribute more masculine qualities to the man with facial hair. Why? Because you, like many women in this study, are accustomed to favoring men with facial hair over men without. The caveman rule gives us one prominent explanation for why bearded men are consistently more attractive, but it's not the only explanation out there. In fact, the authors of our 2020 study offer a second theory as to why beards make men more desirable. Just think for a moment about where facial hair is located on your face. Your hair tends to gather around weak and vulnerable areas like your neck and mouth. A beard is almost like a suit of armor, defending your vulnerable body parts from danger. This is not uncommon within the animal kingdom. The males of many animal species, like rhinos and lions, have more pronounced physical traits such as horns, tusks, and long, bushy manes. These exaggerated characteristics increase the male's durability and fighting, which consequently raises their chances of survival. While few people in this day and age actively think about surviving in the wilderness, the same evolutionary imperatives exist somewhere deep inside of us. That's why, when you see a man with a beard, you assume they're tough and dominant. This is a pretty compelling explanation, but there's yet another reason why beards make men more attractive. And this one's got nothing to do with cavemen or the animal kingdom. Imagine you walk into a room full of unattractive people. At some level, you might know that you're the best-looking person there, and that may raise your confidence. It gives you a certain swagger, knowing that even subconsciously that you're more desirable than everyone else. Growing a beard has a similar effect on many men, even if they don't realize what's happening. People generally prefer bearded men, so growing a thick, full beard tends to give you more confidence than you realize. Confident men seem more physically and socially capable, implying a greater level of dominance and therefore raising your odds of attracting a partner. In other words, it may not be the beard itself that makes men better looking, but the confidence and charisma they gain from their new look. Now, of course, not everyone shares the same preference for facial hair. There are plenty of women who think hairy faces are undesirable, and there are valid scientific reasons why she might think so. For example, beards are a common sign of poor hygiene. Today, shaving is commonplace and hygienic tools are readily available. Therefore, many women are wary of men who allow their beards to grow long and scraggly. Not only does it look unhealthy, but it suggests a low level of full-body hygiene. And that's often a deal breaker. Luckily, your beard doesn't have to look dirty or unkempt. In our 2020 study, a large percentage of women agree that a beard can be a strong symbol of health, but only if it's well kept and diligently cared for. Like any aspect of your appearance, letting your beard grow into a wild mess could be a turnoff to potential partners. On the other hand, if you're clean and careful, you can take advantage of what has proven to be a timeless, attractive look for men of all ages. Few physical traits can positively influence your appearance and seemingly your personality as much as a clean and healthy beard. While there's no guarantee your facial hair will suddenly make you irresistible to everyone you meet, the odds are certainly in your favor. Hey, thank you for watching Top Think, and be sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.